Hello, everybody. Lesson number 6. We're definitely almost there. Ultimately, I can see the finish line personally. And now we're going to go ahead and do the fun stuff. We're going to merge all three files together, this was the main directory. And how do I highlight? So I want to highlight the files that I want to open it up, right? So in Windows products, you can do that by holding down Control. I'm using both my mouse and the keyboard. So I hold down Control. I already highlighted the HD2010. I want to pick up the version 2. So I press the left mouse button and also the left mouse button. I'm still holding down Control, so it still activates all the items that I click on. So I'm now doing version 2 of AY. So I have all three items highlighted. If I press enter, all three files will open up. A lot simpler than opening one up at a time, right? It's all about efficiency and time management when you're, using Excel, developing anything that you're working on. And, planning it out before you go is the best way to complete projects. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at our main file, which is the HD2010. This is our main file with all the list of schools. So if I want to go back to the bottom, how do I do that? Control down, control arrow up. With this file, at this point, I want to add in a row. I'll explain it to you later, but just follow the instructions as is for now. Now, how do I add a row to row 1? I want to add a row up top here. There's an easy way, shortcut key. You could always go into the row, highlight the entire row, right click, insert. However, once again, the keyboard is your best friend, and anything you can do with the mouse, you can do with the keyboard. So I'll go ahead and highlight the entire row. Once again, how do we do that again? Shift, spacebar. Now, the shortcut key to this is Alt-IE. Let me go ahead and undo. We haven't discussed undo, but undo is very simple. It's Control-Z. And what I'm doing right now is highlighting the entire row. I want to say insert another row. Once again, that's I undid Alt-I, then E. Alright, so I inserted an extra row up top. The question is, what information do I want here? Because I want to match up the SAT scores and then the tuition costs. So what I want to do is tab over to, let's do the SAT scores first. I want to tab over to the SAT scores and bring over the column headers, correct? How do I do that? Alt-tab, I have my SAT scores. So this is where I want to grab the column headers. How do I do that? I went to column B1, cell B1, Shift, Control, right arrow. And then I Control C, which is copy, right? So I'm copying the entire column set. Alt tab to go back to my directory, and then press enter. Simple, right? I have my SAT scores in here, which is great. How do I get the data? Well, I can't just copy it over because if you look, I have 7,000 rows, 7,500 rows, but SAT data has 7,300. So it won't match up one-to-one with the directory. Well, there's multiple ways to do this, and I say do the easiest. There's so many functions. You could use a SUMIF, VLOOKUP, index, offset, you name it, there are ways to do it. However, for me, I would like to use a VLOOKUP. It's just a simpler way to do it for me right now, and you could approach it multiple ways. So we'll go ahead and do a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP functions we'll talk about more in depth but if you could just follow along with me for now, we'll go ahead and explain the VLOOKUP probably in another session. Okay, time to write a formula. We haven't written a formula yet, so that's why we're getting these are exciting times. So formulas always started with equal. VLOOKUP is a function, so VLOOKUP. They say look at what value? Well, I know that this unique identifier is listed on all the other files that I'm looking at, the SAT score file and the tuition file. Well, that's what I want to look up. I want to find for this community, well, we'll look at the, we could double click this. Oh, not right now. Well, we'll go ahead and reduce it. So, Community College of the Air Force. For Community College of the Air Force, I want to know SAT scores for now. So, how are we going to do that? Well, we could, one way to do it. So, one way to do it is copy the unique identifier over. And then these are the SAT scores. And do a find, control F. There's no SAT scores, so it doesn't matter. That's why there's less records here than in our directory. We could, with all that said, let's go ahead and start the VLOOKUP formula. So equals VLOOKUP, lookup value. I want to look up the unique identifier. Well, I want to anchor this, and I'll explain anchoring in a second. So if you want to anchor it, F4, press it once. You see how the dollar signs pop up before that? That means it'll always stay on the cell. That means with $1 sign, with the 3, it'll rotate. Then the A's will change, but 3 won't change. Now, this is actually what I want. That means it's always going to stay on column A, but the rows are going to change. That's what I want. So table array, what table am I looking for? I'm looking for SAT. So I just tabbed over. I don't need the headers for this. I got a column to, I'm pressing shift, control down, control right. So I highlighted all the cells. So I put a column in there, and actually it's not, I can't tab over because I'm in the middle of a formula, so I can press enter. It's going to say my formula is wrong, but if I press F2, I'm back in the formula. I'm using my arrow keys to go back. Index column, well, I know the data I want. I want 2. And I could put false because I want exact. So it gives me that number. Well, the reason I asked you to add a column up here is because we're going to do this. We're going to put number 2 here, plus 1, and then copy over the formula. So I put a 2. I said, hey, take the value in cell E1 and add 1. So it gives me 3, right? And I copy the formula over. Well, I didn't have numbers here, right? So I go down 1 with the arrow, and then control right gets me to the end. I go up 1, and then if I go shift, control left, I highlight all the cells, and I move back 1. I say enter. So it copies over all the formulas. Wonderful. So the reason why I did that is, if you look here, 2 corresponds with 2, and then I also know that I want to get the next column over on the formulas. So I can go in here, delete the 2, and say whatever number is in this cell, put it in here. And then also I'm going to anchor my 1 so it doesn't move. I press return. So that is my VLOOKUP formula. We'll go into more if you guys have questions, but for our exercise for now, we'll just go ahead and work with this formula. Alright, now I like my formula. I want to copy it over. So I say copy, Control C, and then I'm holding down Shift because I want to highlight all the cells that I want to copy. I'm holding down Shift and using the right arrow key, and I go to the end. I press return. Well, it copied the formula over to the right, except you see the only value that changes is this. That means which column to pick from our array or the data set we're picking from. So it changes, which is exactly what I want. Now, the question is, I want to copy all the data, or all the formulas, all the way down to row 7505. Well, you know, the long way to do it is do it like this with the mouse, which is honestly ridiculous. So I go back up to row 3, I copy the formula, and I know I could navigate all the way down to the data set by pressing Control down, right? Right. And I want to pick all the cells in between to all the way up to row 2. Well, I'm back down here, so I'm holding down Shift, Control, up arrow. I'm back up top. So if I press Enter, it'll copy all the formulas down. Look at that. Life is great, right? I'm currently using the page up and down function to make sure everything's pretty much filled in. The NAs, they'll pop up because non-existent data in the SAT file. We'll live with it for now, but there are different ways to get rid of that. Okay, so control up. I want to go back up to the top. In databases, you don't want formulas. So, but it's always a good process to follow to go ahead and copy your formulas on the top. So keep, you could have for use again. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this a little fast. Add another row. Copy the formula that from row 4. It's okay if it has NAs, but that's I like it the way it is. It's fine. Now I want to hard code everything. Hard code means I don't want formulas in here because my databases shouldn't have formulas. So I'm going to highlight everything in column 4. So it's Shift Control arrow right, then arrow down while I'm still holding Shift Control. I want to Control C, and then something called paste special values. So follow my shortcut keys is Alt E, S, and V. Now all these numbers are hard coded. That means there's no formulas, but just the numbers. We'll go through that paste special values again, but that's going to come in pretty handy in terms of paste special. There's different ways to do paste special format, and we'll go into that further when we have time. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop it here for this video, and we'll continue on. We'll bring in the tuition data, and we're almost there. Talk to you soon.